Hey story lovers! If you're into mystery, suspense, and unexpected twists, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, relax, and let's dive into today's story. Amara Gray had everything the world could offer: a sprawling mansion in Manhattan, closets filled with designer clothes, invitations to the most exclusive parties, and a family name that opened doors everywhere. Yet, behind the polished smile and sparkling chandeliers, she felt imprisoned. The glittering life she lived was more a cage than a blessing. From the moment she woke, every minute of her day was scheduled. Meetings with high-profile philanthropists, lunch with business moguls, and endless charity galas were routine. But Amara's real life was lived in the silence of her own thoughts, where dreams of freedom whispered louder than the demands of her father, Richard Gray, a ruthless billionaire. Her father had always been clear: she would marry into power, cementing alliances, expanding their empire. Her heart or desires never factored in. "This isn't about love, Amara. It's about legacy," he told her one evening during a tense dinner. Amara's heart rebelled silently. She longed for spontaneity, for simple joys like laughing with someone who saw her beyond the gray fortune. But such things were forbidden, replaced by contracts, PR statements, and endless pressure. The mansion itself felt like a gilded cage. The rooms, though lavish, were cold and lonely. Family portraits lined the walls, showing generations of Grays, all with the same serious eyes. It felt like she was living a story written centuries ago, one where she was merely a pawn. Her escape was a rare moment she allowed herself: the rooftop garden where she could breathe in the fresh air and pretend she was somewhere else entirely. Sometimes she imagined a different life, one where she walked the streets unknown, where people knew her by her laughter, not her legacy. One day, her father announced she was to fly to Seoul for a business summit, where she would meet the son of a powerful Korean conglomerate, her supposed future husband. The news crushed her. This trip was not an opportunity, it was a sentence. Amara packed her bags with a heavy heart, knowing she was stepping into a world where her fate was sealed, where her dreams of freedom would be challenged, and her true self would have to fight harder than ever to survive. Seoul was everything Amara hadn't expected: vibrant, alive, a city of contrasts. The gleaming skyscrapers and ancient palaces coexisted, and the streets buzzed with energy. But it wasn't the city that captured her heart, it was a chance encounter in the quieter part of Busan, a coastal city far from the business summit. One afternoon, tired of the suffocating meetings and endless rehearsed smiles, Amara slipped away from her handlers and took a train to Busan. There, she wandered into a small cafe tucked away from the bustling harbor. That's where she met Jun Park, a boy in his early 20s with a warm smile and eyes that held stories deeper than any luxury penthouse. Jun was a street artist, painting murals that told the history of his neighborhood, struggling to make ends meet but rich in dreams. Their conversation started with a spilled coffee and a laugh. Jun's easy humor and genuine kindness were a breath of fresh air for Amara. He didn't ask who her father was or how much money she had. He saw her as Amara, a girl who craved freedom as much as he did. They spent days exploring Busan together, from the markets where spices filled the air, to the quiet beaches where the two shared secrets beneath a moonlit sky. For the first time in years, Amara felt alive. But she knew their worlds were miles apart. Her family's expectations were a looming shadow. Yet, with Jun, she found hope, a fragile belief that love could break through the barriers of wealth and culture. Amara's world crashed when her father pressured her harder than ever to agree to the arranged marriage with the conglomerate heir in Seoul. The deal was final: refusal meant disinheritance and public disgrace. But Amara's heart belonged to Jun. Desperate, she proposed a reckless plan: a secret marriage with Jun. It wasn't about love alone, it was her ticket out of the golden prison. Jun hesitated, fearing the risks, but his love for Amara gave him courage. They married quietly in a small ceremony, witnessed by only a few trusted friends. For Amara, the ring on her finger was not just a symbol of love but a key to freedom. The couple vanished from the high society scene. Amara cut ties with her old life, choosing simplicity with Jun in Busan. The first months were filled with joy, discovery, and the thrill of living on their own terms. But freedom came with consequences. The Gray family was relentless. News of the marriage leaked, sending shockwaves through the business world and igniting a media frenzy. The powerful patriarch vowed to bring her back, no matter the cost. Richard Gray was a man used to control and obedience. Amara's defiance felt like betrayal. His wrath was swift and brutal, private investigators shadowed her, social media was flooded with scandalous rumors, and lawyers threatened legal action. Amara and June found themselves hunted, their once peaceful life shattered. June's simple apartment was no longer safe. The media painted Amara as a runaway heiress and June as a manipulative opportunist. Despite the pressure, Amara's resolve hardened. She refused to be a pawn again. But the strain tested their love. June struggled with feelings of helplessness while Amara battled the weight of her family's legacy. At times, it felt like the walls were closing in, but their love became a refuge. Together, they learned that survival meant more than just escaping, it meant standing up and fighting for their right to choose their own destiny. With the world watching, Amara faced the ultimate decision. Her family offered to forgive her, to welcome her back with open arms, on one condition: annul the marriage and return to her old life. June begged her to think carefully, warning that going back would mean losing everything they built together. Amara stood at a crossroads. The luxurious cage beckoned with promises of comfort and power. But the life with June, filled with uncertainty but real love, called to her soul. In a moment of quiet strength, she chose love and freedom. She refused her father's terms and embraced the life she had fought for, imperfect, humble, but hers. Their story became a symbol, a story of courage to break free from societal chains, to cross borders, and to love beyond expectations.